Hello, everyone!
Hey, Lee.
It's that time of the year again.
Yeah.
It is now the 7th anniversary of Owlboy. Uh, this is so weird.
Yeah, it usually is.
We've been getting so many messages over the past while just saying something to the effect of, wait, didn't this game come out just recently? I remember playing it just a year or two ago. And now we're back at the point where it's like, we are 3 years away from a decade. That's weird to think about.
Well, it took us a decade to create, so time is like, whoa, happening so fast. Yeah,
It's like a loop. Loop. So the plan for this year, we will of course be answering all of your questions that you've been sending to us for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And there's also going to be a couple of surprises, especially one that I think you'll very much want to check out. So stick around toward the end, and there'll be a little something. It'll be a little something, but I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
On top of that, this is the 7th year, and we've decided to focus a little bit on music. So there will be a special little thing from Jonathan Gear, composer of Owlboy's soundtrack. There's also a few other goodies that'll be coming along the way. So I think it's time for us to start looking at your burning Owlboy questions.
Yeah.
So we have been gathering up everything that you've been throwing our way for the past week or so, and we'll try our best to answer as best we can, and then we'll just see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great question to start off with, since we're focusing on the music this year. This is from Ivar Goldenboy Lobben from Facebook. He is writing, I had a great time playing Owlboy, and the soundtrack is still being played now and then. Absolutely incredible combination, the game and the soundtrack. Will there be a sequel to Owlboy?
Just jumping right into it. Oh, I really like the music. Anyway, sequel?
Yeah, please.
I mean, we've been talking about this for years now, and I think I've revealed that we have maybe 6 or 7 different versions of what a potential Owlboy sequel could be.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no shortage of ideas, I can tell you that. So we just finished Samantha Sent Remix. Had a great time showing that in Köln at Gamescom, and also went to Tokyo to show that off at TGS. And along with that, we also brought along Vikings on Trampolines. So currently what we're focusing on is getting Samantha Sent Remix updated and some other small things there. And along with that, then we'll be moving on to Vikings, because that one, I mean, we could say that it's a 20-year-old game at this point.
Yeah, Vikings has existed for a long time. We've been trying to work on Vikings as like a break from Owlboy throughout the years. But as for an Owlboy sequel, working on Owlboy was a daunting task, so it's something we would have to consider. We would have to mentally prepare.
Okay, here's what I'm thinking. There's always the potential of doing, Owlboy 2 in big letters with giant fat font and everything. But I think because there's a lot of smaller, more interesting bits within Owlboy that would be really interesting to explore. I could see us exploring sort of like a Owlboy small.
Yeah,
kind of a thing.
I think so too.
But it all hinges on what happens with Vikings.
Yeah.
Because, not gonna lie, this year has been very weird. And a lot of things are sort of pointing towards what will happen with Vikings. And I think if Vikings does very well, then anything to do with Owlboy will look a lot more promising.
Yeah, and I think like as for sequel material, it would need to like bring the concept a little further instead of just rethreading the same old story and the same, the same great gameplay and stuff. I think we would have to expand on the universe a little bit.
Yeah, not to mention, because I've been watching people play through Owlboy now, like through the anniversary and everything that's been happening. We've had a lot of people that have been live streaming Owlboy for the past couple of weeks now, and seeing people discover the game again. On one hand, I'm really excited to see everyone play again and seeing all the like story beats and on the revelations as the story progresses. But one thing I have noticed after what would it be now, like 17 years of this game being a thing, is I think I'm willing to admit at this point that there are certain parts that are very punishing.
Yeah.
And
the Dirk battle.
Honestly, that's my favorite.
The Bogwin cannon, which is
the
most hated thing in the entire game. I would actually, I've been dreaming about doing a mini game, like a standalone thing with the Bogwin cannon, just like make tiny like labyrinths and stuff, but I would have to like update the controller system. The reason why it didn't work is because we never added a tutorial. So you're like thrown into a new set of mechanics without any explanation at all.
Not to mention, the Bogwin cannon was not meant to be a minigame. It was meant to be put on that pedestal in Tropos.
Oh yeah.
So that you get shot up to the top, and then you can glide to whatever area you want to go to, which works very great for that, but not so much for like a challenge type of thing where you fail if you hit something.
Yeah, it was just like a spur of the moment thing because we wanted to add like tiny things that you could do in Tropos when you went out exploring, and the Bogwin minigame was just like it. We had more, but we didn't have any time to. I guess that's sequel material, actually.
Yeah, that's sequel material, and I think for the most part, like everything in the middle of the game, just because we were very proud of the hit system where you can get like very interesting knockback and getting an interaction with the environment because you can touch it. But the knockback, and because of all the challenges within it, became very punishing after a while. Like if you get hit by an enemy, not only do you drop your gunner, you get knocked into walls, you also take damage, and sometimes you get that on top of a like burn status effect or something.
Yeah. The reason why we added it in the first place was because we wanted Otis to feel kind of helpless against enemies, so knocking him around was kind of the go-to. And I also played a lot of Mega Man back then, because you showed Mega Man to me and I've never actually played it before. Whenever Mega Man would take a hit, he would like get a little bit knocked back and down into pits and stuff.
Yeah.
What I was thinking is, okay, so what if we do that, but you can also recover like in the mid-air, so that you get a little bit of action type gameplay from it. In
fact, that frame that you see when you take damage and Otis dies, like he has that kind of frame. That's how the hit system worked before. You were kind of pushed back a little bit, but you stopped. You didn't get the full like flung in a direction kind of a thing. And part of, because I remember this, we were showcasing the Valley Dungeon, the cave, and when people were when they were playtesting that whole thing, they would get through it so fast, they would just kind of sprint, because if you get hit, well, it doesn't have any consequence because
you had like 3 seconds of like invulnerability. Can you say that word?
Invulnerability?
Yes.
So the point was that we added more knockback to slow people down because they were abusing the systems.
Yeah.
And then, as it turns out, for all of this other stuff, it becomes really egregious during the middle part of the game. However, just to wrap this up, yes, we have ideas for an Owlboy 2, but I think smaller bits within it would be more interesting to explore first, and then we'll see what happens after Vikings.
Yes.
Next question.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was elaborate. Let's see. Okay, from Facebook as well. When will we get an Owlboy 2? Oh, okay. And then that was from Chamin Castillo and from Eric Pelletier. So Owlboy 2? Question mark. Yeah, that was okay. Facebook.
We're just blasting through these now. I mean, we definitely want to make one. We'll see. We'll see.
So from Instagram, Void the Fox. Will there be a collab with Savant Descent Remix? Because enemies from Owlboy would fit well.
I think we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Also, as a special surprise, we have a very special performance from our composer, Jonathan Gear.
So this year we decided to focus on the music of Owlboy because so much of the game was inspired by, Jonathan's work as well. We've talked about this before, but we added an entire playable area in Mesos because Jonathan sent us a really lovely melody, and we felt like this is a melody that really like captures I guess, the sadness.
Yeah, it was so sweeping and uh, filling that whole theme that we were just like, this entire area needs to be expanded. It can't just be this. What we had originally planned was this short trek through a snowy area until you got to the family house, but uh, it didn't end up being quite as big as we had our second plan,
No.
but uh, at the very least considerably larger just because of that music. Like we purposely made it bigger just so you can sit there and listen to it.
Yeah. And what ended up happening is Jonathan made a lot of music that we never used as well, especially the Advent theme. Yeah,
Yeah.
we never actually posted it officially, so we're gonna post it on our YouTube channel.
Hmm.
And we have more music that we want to post this month, so follow us on our socials.
Hmm.
Um,
In fact, if you want to have a teaser for that, we can show it to you right now.
okay, Kikumon, will your characters ever make a guest star appearance in any fighting games?
They already did. It was in Bounty Battle.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it wasn't very well known, and we were very little involved during the whole process because we were so busy with porting the game and looking into other projects at the time. So, if you want to try that, that exists.
Yeah. Search Bounty Battle on Steam and you'll find it.
But I find it really a really fascinating question because personally, I have this very strange relationship with fighting games in that I love the design, I love the worlds, I love sort of the systems and the way you can do storytelling through design and characters and all of that. But I suck at fighting games. I'm awful at them, and I would very much like to try to have Otis in a fighting game, just so he can act sort of as our proxy, where people can fight properly with it in the way that we can't.
Yeah. I mean, Otis, he's not really a fighting character. He would, I mean, I can't really picture Otis punching people in the face.
He would. Oh, that sounds even worse. I was going to say he would get other people to do it for him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but
Would like
it's.
float like evilly back point where.
I guess it would work sort of like Pokemon Trainer in Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Where he's sort of in the back.
Exactly.
But I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that there are characters in Owlboy that would work very well for fighting games.
Yeah.
And I think that would be an interesting bit to explore. We just haven't gotten that far yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Next.
Okay, that was from Facebook. From Tumblr is from Umberlet. Is there a reason why Otis and Asio look more human than Strix and his students? Like, does Otis and Asio have some human ancestry, or just small inconsistency with the character design?
So we've been receiving this question for a number of different years, and I feel like it's become this sort of conspiracy that they're not actually owls or something like that. But I can answer this very straightforward. when I started working on Otis's design way back then, like I went through hundreds and hundreds of designs, and I finally ended up with something that was very owl-like. Um, like I said this before, but previously his design was very much like a seagull, and then I ended up with an owl, and I like that better. And I wanted to bring in sort of like the line eyes from very old cartoons, like that whole rubber hose look, because believe it or not, that was not common back then. It became sort of an indie staple afterwards, but when we were considering this idea, that was very new. I was thinking, okay, those eyes, that could be interesting. However, that doesn't look very much like an owl. So I tried that. I tried actually making the sprite where he looks like an actual owl, and it looks really freaky.
Yeah.
It looks very freaky because his eyes would be very big, but with these narrow slits. And it was very difficult to get expressions because the beak it covers the pixels for the mouth a lot. So keep in mind that this was how many years ago? Like 15, 17 years ago that I was doing this, and getting things to look right in that resolution was very difficult. So what I ended up with was I needed more blank real estate on his face for that to work. So he became a little bit more human-like simply for readability's sake on the sprite, and then I had to replicate that for the illustrations. However, he had that like little beak nose, so I figured, okay, this sort of works with all of the characters. Then I created Agio based on Otis's design. Like, what would a bigger owl of that caliber be? But then I needed to draw the humans. And as it turns out, I just kind of continued the habit of using big red noses. So even though the humans have, regular human features, they have a similar nose to Otis because it became kind of the style. So Otis is very much meant to be an owl. It was sort of a design of practicality. And to compensate for that, every owl that I added later, I brought in more and more owl-like features so that you could clearly see what it was meant to emulate. In fact, a lot of the owls I made sort of like a compromise between the two in order to bring that in. Specifically, Fib and Bonacci. So when I was designing the different characters, at one point I got to the point where I created Strix, and Strix is pretty much just a Strix owl in a suit. So he was very owl-like. But then looking at Strix next to Otis became very weird because there was no connecting tissue there. How do you make that work? And that's when I solidified the designs for Fib and Bonacci. They're part of the reason why I think it's funny that their name is a pun on the Fibonacci sequence, which is sort of a wave, is that their wave is the connective tissue between Strix and Otis, in that you have Strix, then you have Fib, which has like a little bit less owl features, but more so than Otis. And then you have Bonacci, which has Otis's like line eyes, but a simplified face, but with more owl features. And then finally you get to Otis, which is the complete other end of the spectrum. So because you have all of those characters, you kind of create a sort of like line of design that sort of connects all the different owls.
And I mean, Otis's face, you actually, with the amount of detail that you had, you were able to animate him quite well.
Yeah.
Despite, the limited details and stuff, it worked in your favor, because if you had added too many details on him, just like blinking his eyes and stuff it would look weird, and he got pretty cute as well.
It's part of the reason why I did the same thing with Solus's design, is that he I kept his face very simple, but that gave me more room for the mouth and the eyes, so he could be more expressive. Of course, the very simple answer to this whole thing is that Otis is a combination of the traits from his parents, but that would just lead further down into conspiracy
Oh,
theory
yeah.
territory. So instead of just answering that, this is the real reason. He is meant to be an owl. It's just design-wise, it ended up that way.
Do you have a design for his parents?
Yes. In fact, I have tons of ideas for who and what his parents are, but that'll be a story for another time.
Yeah. Okay, so next question from Discord. Winner, Bogwin dinner. Yay! Also, I do gotta ask, it's been 7 years. What are the odds you guys will answer questions from related to spoilers?
I guess it depends. If it turns out that if it's something really intense, then we'll just cut this out.
I mean, most of you guys who's watching this has probably played Owlboy maybe up to several times at this point. So but there's still some secrets I guess we haven't actually revealed yet.
Yeah. Let's see what the question is, and then we'll if we can answer it, then we will.
Yeah. So no more questions from this guy. No. But yeah.
So, if you've been following everything that we've been doing so far, you're probably aware that Savant Descent Remix is now out.
Yes.
In fact, I should mention, because a lot of people have not caught on to this yet, if you owned the original Savant Descent, the one that released 10 years ago now, you actually own Savant Descent Remix for free. You can go to your Steam library and it'll be sitting there ready for you to play.
Yes. We've been working on the game ever since it launched. It's about a month since launch now, and we've been balancing the game, listening to everybody's feedback, and we've added so much stuff to the survival mode. We're gonna open it for everybody. The survival mode got unlocked once you beat the game, but now it's open to everyone, and yeah, we're gonna add even more stuff.
Yeah, in fact, if you've been paying attention to what we've been doing so far with Savant Descent Remix, you'll notice that in the survival mode, bosses start appearing, and now we've started adding custom waves. So there's custom bosses, special patterns. However, there was one thing that was still sitting there that people kept bringing up, and it's the fact that it didn't play exactly the same as the original. Now, the thing about the original, of course, is that it was a 10-year-old game, and a lot of the things that we added in there, we wanted to sort of spruce up and sort of have more of a streamlined experience, considering that the game is about 3 times the size.
Yeah, literally remixing.
Yes, but that didn't stop people from feeling like, well, but I want the old powers back, and I want the old movements back and everything.
Not only have we added the old power-ups back, we have added some new interesting ones as well.
This will be a completely separate mode where you'll have all the powers, all of the abilities from the original, and you can play it exactly the same way, plus a bunch of smaller bonuses and new powers that you can experiment with that you didn't expect.
We're going to be launching the classic mode very soon, probably within the next week.
Probably within the next week.
Yeah. The Savant Descent Remix Classic mode is almost complete. The power-ups of the original make a return, as well as some new ones. Use your spin dash to supercharge your power shot. You can also grab enemies with your chains. Try grabbing different kinds of enemies for various effects. You can even grab enemy projectiles. Every projectile has a different effect. You can store them and use them at any time. Play the game to find all of them. Every mode in the game can be played with the new power-ups. We're currently working on time attack mode as well. Finally, you'll be able to add your own music to the game. Drop your songs in a special folder and the game will find them and add them to your playlist. Thank you for your support and check out Classic mode soon. From Hot Topic! Exclamation mark, Carnell. Question: if you could turn any non-owl character into an owl, who would you change, and what kind of owl would you base them off? Any characters, so...
Any character but turn them into an owl?
Yeah.
Why would we do that?
um,
Okay.
okay, so
Let's pick the weirdest one that we could turn into an owl for no reason. Okay. How about, what if you turned a Bogwin into an owl?
Yeah.
A bowel.
A bowel.
Yeah. Because then, imagine, because they can already do the role, right?
Yeah.
And then they could just do their own canon minigame.
That's true.
And also, imagine a Bogwin with owl wings and they're just kind of knocking into walls because they can't figure out how to fly.
Yeah. How about Alphonse as an owl?
Owlphons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that could work. Okay, what is the... Oh, you know what would be an absolute travesty if we did?
Yeah.
One of the gnomes.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, we could make
flying gnomes?
Yeah, then they could just fly around and eat people.
Yeah, that would be horrifying.
It would be horrifying. Next question.
Okay, so from Floridan, I'd like to add to Confetti's question. What owls were referenced for the character design? And also, do you think Otis and Kiwi Wondersong would be friends? Who's Kiwi Wondersong?
Oh, I actually I checked this ahead of time because I saw that. I think that was on their Discord.
Okay.
Kiwi Wondersong is from an indie game where you essentially sing at people to solve their problems.
Oh.
And I think they'd be friends just because Otis generally is friends with everyone.
I think I've played it, actually.
And also he does that little whistle chirp.
Oh, yeah.
I think that could work. Also, Otis can dance.
Yeah.
He's a really good dancer, so I think that could work very well. The first part of the question, though, was what?
So, which owls are the characters based on?
Well, the Otis and Agio is really easy because that's an Agio Otis.
I mean, it's their name, right?
Yeah, it's a Eurasian eagle owl.
I mean, most of the owls in Owlboy is based off of their actual names.
Yeah, at least some of them. Because the Eurasian eagle owl is it's one of the largest. It's what we here called hubro.
Yeah.
It's my favorite owl because it has those tufts at the top. But of course, Strix is based on a Strix owl, so that's not too surprising. And of course, you have Solus, which is based on a snowy owl. Now, beyond that, I remember. What is the name of that one? Fib is, I believe, I don't remember what the name of it is. It's a very small owl with a dark plumage, which has sort of like a half circle kind of cone head. I forget if it's called a pygmy owl or something like that. You also have Bonacci. Oh, I don't remember off the top of my head because I used a lot of like different owl references for that.
Yeah.
You also have some of the more hidden owls. Nocte specifically, because he has a big portrait in one of the later areas, is based on is based on barn owl.
Yeah.
And that's actually on purpose. Because barn owls are, at least in the sort of folktale kind of thing, a lot of people have suspected that alien sightings are actually barn owls because they have those deep set eyes that are just completely black, and because of the shape around their face, which they use to catch sound, that dome shape actually has a lot of similarities to sort of the grays. So Nocte, I purposely picked the creepiest owl to sort of make the weirdest, creepiest owl I possibly could.
And he is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, next question.
Let's see here from Tradion. Question. I still remain curious about how Getty was able to teleport away from Otis on his own after the events with the giant lava worm, especially considering that Otis was the one who held the teleporter and not Getty. Is the use of the teleporter not limited to being physically touched or activated?
Okay, so this is a sort of two different sides of the same answer. The first answer is that in order for the story to be told, we have to take some liberties.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, was Getty supposed to just walk back into the lava hole and go home?
I mean, in for context, it would look kind of weird, I suppose. Yeah, to save time, I guess we just like teleport him in.
We decided that it would make the most sense because it made sense to the player that, oh, okay, so he's left and he's not coming back. But there is some genuine thought connected to it. Because we received this question on previous anniversaries. It's like, where do the gunners go when they're teleported out? My answer to that last time was that they go to a particular location, and we've actually, like, we were considering that you could find that location and go visit them when they're teleported out, just as sort of like a visual gag, but we didn't end up doing it. But my thought, now this isn't canon because we haven't explored this, but my thought, at least at the time, is that there is an area in the lower part of Tropos that is an area that they go to when they're not in the party, and then from there Getty can get to where he needs to go.
Yeah.
How he activates the teleporter on its own, it has to be able to do that if you think about it, because yes, Otis can press the button and then Getty can show up and everything, but he does teleport away on his own anyway when he hits stuff.
Yeah.
So in some way, the gunners are tied to the teleporter in some kind of fashion.
Yeah.
But exactly how that operates, I mean...
Yeah, we haven't really told anyone yet. I haven't really even thought about it at all.
I've thought about it a lot, but it's sort of like... Okay, the best example I can give is Terminator. The movie Terminator, once it started, you get to have a lot of really interesting ideas, and you get to be like, wow, there's so much mystery and intrigue, and how does it actually work? But then as you make more and more and more and more movies, you have to start explaining how those things work, and then it becomes a mess.
Yeah.
And we haven't got to the point where it becomes a mess yet.
No, that's what I'm. That's why I'm. Because that's kind of the whole. We should have discussed it when we got the sequel question. But yeah, there's always a chance that you mess something up when you do a follow-up story, or it's happened to a lot of movie franchises where I just like wish that they didn't exist because they kind of ruin the original masterpiece. A lot of my favorite movie franchises does this, including Terminator.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite things to do when I work is to listen to like bonkers Zelda theories. Because I think that's really fun. You can interpret a lot just for fun for these kinds of things. But the underlying thing when you have a franchise that has like 25 games or something that has split timelines and everything is that nothing will work. Like at some point, because the implication is that all of these locations are the same across, hundreds of games. Why don't they line up perfectly? Well, of course they don't. There's no way that it can.
No, I mean, they can't. So, yeah.
Anyway, thank you for the question.
Yeah. Okay, so from Dragonfruit, will Otis get a girlfriend?
I mean, how would we know?
Yeah.
We haven't explored that part. And also, like, we don't know his exact age, but we put him at around, like, 10 or 12 years old. And specifically, we didn't explore any sort of like relationship kind of ideas with Owlboy because we felt like that would distract from the story we're trying to tell. Like the story about Owlboy, at least from my perspective, is a story about friendships and how that changes things and what you value as you do things. And if we had added a like relationship or partner part to this whole story, then I felt like it would take it in a different direction. Then you'd start talking about, well, now we have the prospect of relationships. Why aren't different characters dating? Why are, like, where are all the parents? Why are all of these people single? That kind of thing. And that's why purposely the only relationship that we have confirmed in the game is Getty and Mandolin.
I mean, yeah, you can see it in the background here.
Because it was specifically there for a story element, like why would Getty want to go back to Valley? And if there was a lot of like alluding to relationships, I feel like the game would take on a very different light.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's implied that Getty is in love with Mandolin, we never actually like explore it like within the game. It's just that it's implied because, as you said, Getty has something to return to, but it didn't make any sense to write a love story, really.
Yeah, and also this is a story from the perspective of a 12-year-old. I felt like it was important to sort of think about what they would want to prioritize in that situation. And so we sort of laser focused on that and tried to keep it into that. But
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe we'll explore that in a different title sometime.
Okay, here we go. So next question from Aribamuaba. Arimuaba. Aribamuaba.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ari, yeah. Say it one more.
Ari Amoeba.
Ari Amoeba. Question. Is the planet Owlboy takes place on, or should I say takes place off of, some version of Earth, or is it a fantasy world?
I can actually confirm this. This is a completely different world. And this was very deliberate, at least from my side, because a lot of stories I feel like don't take into the account that the place that you're at is supposed to be completely different. In fact, I often find it kind of boring when you've had this really interesting world that you've built up, and then it turns out, oh, it was just some messed up version of Earth.
Yeah.
Because you get all that baggage. There was, I remember there was someone that brought up the fact that specifically One Piece, they have actually gone out and charted how big the planet is, and it's specifically not Earth, and they've planned how the gravity would be different and how it would be a lot longer to travel across the sea because the planet has a lot more oceans.
Yeah.
And in that same sense, I felt like it was important that the planet that this takes place on is different from Earth and has its own like unique properties. Now, of course, what those properties are, we might explore later. But yeah, no, it's definitely not Earth.
No, I mean we also, it's implied that the planet has lower gravity than Earth as well. And you know I guess we would. Planet of the Apes already did it, so so why should we? I think I asked you pretty early on in development. Is this like far off future planet Earth? And are these owls just like evolved humans over millions of years? But that would kind of take away from the mysterious place that this is, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so Here we go. Well, actually, there was another question. Question number 2 from
Ariamiba.
Question number 2 from Ariamiba.
Ariamiba.
Yeah. Question number 2 from Ariamiba. Are there more bug spider-like creatures like Twig?
So are they asking whether or not there are more of them around, or if there's more like other types of those creatures?
Yeah, other types of like insect-inspired creatures.
I mean, there's non-sentient ones, sure. The ones that we didn't end up adding was the I think we called them something like leech spiders.
Yeah.
They're a type of spider-like creature that doesn't have a thorax. It uses other animals as their living quarters. It's very creepy. But the idea here is that they on one hand they take over other creatures, but that's where Twig gets his silk from.
Yeah.
So he uses that sort of to build up his repertoire, and that's kind of what his outfit is based on. Now, I don't know about other like species because we haven't explored that far yet, but there are absolutely other beings like him around.
Yeah.
In fact, some of them we had to cut from the game.
Yeah.
And there's also other settlements. In fact, there are other settlements that also have humans and owls on them.
Yeah.
It's just that for what we were trying to do right now, it was more important to just focus on Valley and Advent, because let's say that there is a like 2 other settlements around that also have like a tiny little population, and they have their own owls and everything that we mention in Owlboy. All that's going to do is that we're going to have a bunch of people that be like, well, why can't I go there? And what are they doing? And do the pirates care about them? And of course, they have their own internal struggles, but for the sake of the story, if we had mentioned that, there are other places to go to, I think we would just make people upset.
Yeah. Yes. Sequel material.
Sequel material.
All right, let's have a look now. Okay, so from Icewolf. What's the weather like for the floating islands? Does it rain in Valley, or do clouds just roll in? Or are they too high for most clouds? What games have you all played this year? Oh, so it was 2 questions. Okay, so weather in Owlboy.
Weather. Okay, so Valley is very low down. In fact, I mean, the entire thing is that the islands are floating, so they don't have to be all that high up in reality. They can be fairly close to the oceans, so they can still get rain and clouds and everything.
Yeah, in fact, the area that Valley is in is called Tropos, right? So, and it's actually it's based off of the actual atmosphere of our planet, I suppose.
So you have the troposphere, the stratosphere, the mesosphere, and then I forget what the layer beyond that is, other than space, of course. But the way that it works for this planet is that of course, clouds will roll in because they're up in the sky, but they'll still be able to have rain and everything. Then, when you get further up to the stratosphere in this this planet, the way that it works is that is actually the hottest layer because of everything rising out. There's less pressure, so it gets warmer during that area. So it's mostly just very moist in strato. That's why you get all that plant life. And then that moisture rises, and then you get the mesosphere, where things just kind of freeze. You don't get, rain and snow. It's more like condensed powder everywhere.
Yeah.
So that sort of just kind of condenses.
And you can see that the gravity is so low in this area that the snow actually it floats in the air instead of like coming downwards, and so that is taken to an extreme later on, but that's spoiler material.
So the smaller you are, and the further out you go, the less you're affected by gravity. Of course, a lot of the different elements of why things are floating off is that, you know, the way the spoiler things further off affected things is it affected certain land masses.
Mm.
So the land masses will be affected, but not so much necessarily the things on them.
Mm.
But the worse things get, since things are drifting, you'll be forced out to a point where you'll start floating anyway because you'll be too far away for gravity to function.
Yeah, I always found that interesting that the reason why things are floating is actually connected to the story of the game.
Mm.
Yeah, that's weather.
What have you been playing?
Playing recently. Samantha Sand Remix is the only thing I've been playing for like the last half year. I've been trying to check out Mario Wonder.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I played it the other day. I just bought it.
yeah,
It's really good.
it's fantastic. So yeah, I'm gonna try and complete that one. There's a lot of games I want to play. Baldur's Gate 3. I actually the second one was the very first game I ever completed.
Oh.
Yeah, like when I was 10 years old, I had no idea what the story was about. I just like killed stuff and then rearranged my characters until stuff died. I remember I played the final battle for like weeks. I had no idea what was going on. I couldn't read properly. It's a game that is based on Dungeons and Dragons, so you need to know what is going on, but I had no clue. I used magic missiles and everything, and stuff just like happened.
Yeah.
That's kind of, yeah. I don't think any games other than that. I can't remember actually.
It's harder to remember earlier this year, but I have played an absolutely insane amount of Tears of the Kingdom. Because I absolutely love that game. The story and the setting and the mechanics, that I think it's really good. So I've more or less 100% completed that now. I have been playing a bit of Tango projects. It feels wrong to call them remakes because they're so much better than that. For those uninitiated, Tango Project are some of the developers from Natsume that came together and are remaking their old titles with the original team. So they've been doing an excellent job of that. They did Pocky and Rocky. They did Wild Guns.
Oh, we've been playing a lot of Wild Guns.
A lot of Wild Guns and Ninja Returns. I actually met them at TGS, which was really nice. They're working on a new one called Kage, which is also a remake of an NES title.
Huh.
So I've been playing that, and a little bit of Shadows of Doubt, which is a procedurally generated detective game. And honestly, just a shit ton of some Andersen remix. We've been playing that so much recently.
Yeah.
For a good reason.
Yes. We're working on the classic mode right now, and we have other stuff to tell you as well about the game.
For now! More questions.
Yeah, let's have a look. Okay, so question from Lily Pamel / Poodle. Have you ever thought of releasing some sort of art book that shows some concept and some cool official art? I always love seeing the process behind the games. Love the game. It's been my favorite since 2017.
This has been brought up almost every single year, and I will say the same thing that I've said every single year, is that we absolutely want to do it. In fact, we have all the files, we have the concept for it, all of that's sitting there ready to go. The only thing that we need to do is that we need to have a guarantee that people actually want this. And there's a couple of ways that we can do that. Either just tell us, everyone that wants an art book, tell us that you want it, and we will make that happen. And the second option is that we could do some kind of pre-order thing either through Ko-fi or Patreon, and make sure that we set that up. Now, this is where you come in. If this is something that you actually want, then let us know, and then we'll make that happen.
Yeah.
Everything's ready to go. We just need a confirmation from you guys.
Okay, let's see now. Okay, from Winner Bogwin Dinner again. I'm not looking for a sciencey kind of answer for this, but in game, how does gravity work? Do things start to float if they're big enough? Is that how the dreadnought is able to fly, as well as bodies of land? But things and people like Getty would fall if they stepped over the edge.
We sort of answered this earlier, but the idea is that the surface land masses and everything is what's affected by the hex. And then the things on top of it isn't necessarily. However, the further out you get pushed by things, the less gravity affects you.
Yeah.
So you start to drift off. So because of that, all of the different flying devices and boats and everything, they're of course built from material. And if you have an equivalent amount of material for that, then they'll end up floating. So there's it's not the most detailed logic, but you can kind of extrapolate from there that there's some interesting things that you can do with sort of landmass versus what grows on top of it.
The Dreadnoughts also has a propulsion system, right? So at least it can move back and forth like through the air.
Yeah.
Landmass will more like just float upwards.
Yeah, it would be like imagine putting a propeller engine on a balloon.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. So you can control it, but of course you have to have engines to do pushback, so you don't just float around.
Huh. Okay. From Goldian, question. You've talked about potentially expanding the story of Owlboy someday. Have you ever considered expanding on the events immediately following the major event that happened, or spoilers? It feels like there's a lot of stories to tell about the aftermath and the downfall of the Owl Society.
So the thing about the non-specific event that happens in the game is that the ambiguity is kind of the point. Now we know what that leads to, but in terms of the story, it's sort of the catharsis of what the themes of the game is supposed to lead to, and maybe exploring directly what happens after might put that into question.
Yeah.
It's sort of what we were talking about earlier, that when you have a franchise that just keeps going, then you sort of lose the mystery.
Yeah.
But what I could say is that on one hand, it could have something could be explored way further after. If we want to explore that, there's some ideas that we have for that. That's like Owlboy Project 1. Then we have what happened prior to everything. That's Owlboy Project 2. And then we have a couple that explores like vastly different worlds, which I won't go into. But if we were to do like what happens after the ending, I feel like that would probably cheapen what happened a bit. I feel like then you would just get an answer.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh, but what about all of this stuff? And like half of the people would be like confused.
Yeah, that's true. No, I think like telling Owlboy's story feels like something we already did, but expanding on it would be interesting at some point.
There's also going to be a couple of surprises, especially one that I think you'll very much want to check out. Other small things. There will be a little something something. It'll be a little something something, but I think you'll enjoy it. Well, that's it for the Q&A section. Thank you all for sitting through all of this and joining us for all of your questions. We really appreciate everything you sent in.
Yeah.
For now, this will be the end of the pre-recorded segment. Now we will be moving over to our live segment, which I'm sure will be very professional with no problems whatsoever, where we'll be playing some games live for you. Thank you all for being here. We'll see ourselves off to ourselves, I guess.
Here's Simon and Joe.
Here's us in the future. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Can everyone hear us?
Can everyone see us?
They might be able to see us in a minute, just checking that the volume is correct.
Okay.
Everyone there? Okay, you can hear but you can't see. All right, you'll be able to see us in 3, 2, 1. Hello.
Hey.
So, yeah, this is the actual live segment.
Oh.
Unfortunately, because of a bunch of technical issues, we've had to kind of try to stick to pre-recorded stuff. Now, I'm very happy with the announcement. Sorry we had to tease it for so long. Yeah.
You do like a good tease, though.
So yeah, Savant Descent Remix will be getting an Owlboy DLC, so you'll be able to play all of the gunners from Owlboy.
Yeah, and you can switch between them. And somebody asked, how are they gonna beat the samurai? Well, that's up to you. We're doing the Owlboy style of playing the game where Otis can actually pick them up and use their different abilities. And yeah, we're gonna show a little bit more as we continue to work on it. But right now we're just trying to finish the classic mode. And then we'll be able to launch the Owlboy DLC on December 5th.
Yes. So we'll have a lot more detail about how that works after the stream. For now, if everything worked out correctly, the announcement should already be up on YouTube. So everything is where it needs to be.
Let's do our yearly tradition of continuing to play Owlboy. I have no idea where we actually left off.
If I did this correctly, it should be where we left off last year, if I did this exactly the way that it should. Now, of course, we already lost connection once, so hopefully that won't happen again. But let's give this a shot. Let's see here. I'm just going to see if I can open up Owlboy without any issues. Let's see. And of course, since this is live, a lot more technical issues, so we'll try to make sure that everything works the way that it should. Okay, so are you getting the game?
Seems like it.
Let's see, is the format correct here? Yeah. Okay. So is the volume comfortable? Everyone has what they need? Nothing needs to be adjusted? No audio from the game. Oh, wait. I see what we did here. I put a precautionary measure. I turned off the desktop audio. Okay. Can you hear the game now?
Yeah.
Yes. Is it at a comfortable volume? Because it'll be difficult to jump around. Okay, we're good. So this year I'll be playing. That's why I'm wearing these giant badonk headphones. If you remember last year, we shared a couple of headphones so that we wouldn't drown out with speakers.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then I ended up pulling it out of your head in a fit of rage.
Yeah, I know what the game sounds like at this point.
All right. So I believe it's Tropos.
I think so.
Okay. I think this is where we were at. So.
Whoa! Achievements, man.
Oh man! What the hell? All right. So we already have. We have Alphonse, and I believe this should be after the big event in the capital. So let's see. Yeah, it has to be because we've found 2 Bogwins.
Hey, bud.
Haha, bud. Do we have everything? Let's go check out. It's so weird that it's literally a year between each playthrough.
Yeah. I don't remember what happened. What happened last year?
I believe we did Advent, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so. You've collected a lot of coins, so...
You've gone on to see the world, haven't you? That makes 2 of us. Now let me see here if we can get you proper trigger. Oh, we're that far along. Flapping. Why is there flapping in my shop? Gawk.
Fun fact, that's actually the Gawk that is carrying Alphonse in the first battle.
It's 1.
Didn't we have a name for that Gawk?
Yeah, John. It means yellow.
Oh!
Because it's the only yellow Gawk. And originally it was just, you need someone to carry Alphonse in that battle, but I actually wanted Juan to be a lot more important to the story as itself. Because that means that you can tame Gawks, though, right?
Yeah, which we actually did consider at some point, having like
Oh, wow, I didn't know I had notifications on.
Oh,
Let me actually fix that.
I think it's fine.
Let's go in offline. Well, we got a cameo. All right. Okay. What are we getting? Have we already got that?
I think so.
Yeah, I think we have everything.
It contains fire.
I really enjoyed making the like extra additions to these. I wanted to make more upgrades, but we never got around to it.
I mean, we have a lot of like items that we never actually used. We used to have like a quick bar system. You could pick up fruit. We call them ishes.
Yeah, it's a pun on radishes.
Yeah.
So it's radishes, yellowishes, bluishes.
In the Advent music video that we showed in the stream, you saw Kernel's garden, and you could plant seeds there and grow your own ishes. But we never quite got to the part where, Advent got destroyed in the end, so you didn't really have any place where you could grow them in the end.
In fact, a lot of the stuff in the background here are references to systems that we didn't end up using. We wanted to have a cooking pot where you could sort of squish ishes together and create potions that created effects.
Yeah. We actually had that system working as well.
Yeah, but as with a lot of things. And I mean, we've mentioned it before, but
oh yeah,
the idea here was, it's ironic that I'm wearing Twig's hat, but the idea was to allow Twig to grab the silk from the leech spiders that we mentioned in the pre-recorded video, and then take the silk in here and let them make their own garbs. So I always pictured Twig being sort of like a mix between a fighter and a seamstress, sort of.
Yeah.
So that was what was meant here. That's why there's like a sewing needle and everything down here. But we just ended up having it as a sort of dungeon for this poor fellow.
Yeah, he lives there, I suppose. Buccaneer throws down some scraps of food now and then.
Alright, so let's find out where we're at. Here's that thing that nobody uses, show reminder.
Yeah.
Get the final relic.
Okay.
So that means that we are on our way to Strato. some bad things have happened after Advent, and we are now on our way to our next location to figure out how to get the last relic. Of course, since we now have Alphonse, we can burn this away.
You can unlock Twig's hat before unlocking Twig, which
I was kind
of weird.
I was kind of surprised by that
Actually,
too.
now that I think about it.
Let's see. I'm not going to dilly-dally too much because you can get lost in this area very quickly. Now, I know a lot of people will just kind of jump in here and go to every single side path. The reason why this area has so many side paths is because this is sort of the last remnants of the really big version of Tropos that we had initially.
Yeah.
Because Tropos was about 8 times the size that it was in this version of the game.
We mentioned it earlier in the stream, but you were supposed to be able to quick travel with like the cannons. But in the end, since we shrinked down both Tropos and Straddle, they lost their purpose kind of quickly.
Yeah.
So that's why we just converted it into a mini game instead.
And that was back. I see someone in chat mentioned it, but there's also the part where Kernel, the character from Advent, was a playable character, and she came in when you were exploring this giant space because she had a sort of a bazooka with homing torpedoes, and you could take her to fight a boss called the Algros, which was just this giant stone-covered slime monster thing. And what ended up happening was, of course, there was very little point. Oh, I lost my hand. There was very little point in having Kernel there because, well, she didn't serve any purpose in terms of either the story or the combat. So we ended up cutting her, and as a result of that, we also ended up cutting the Algros. So it was kind of like a big version of these guys, just more rock-based.
And you were supposed to use Geddy's hammer attack because he had one back then.
Oh yeah, in fact, I've referenced the hammer attack a lot of times. Why are we taking all of this? Are we not supposed to be going to?
Don't you know the way?
Oh!
I don't.
No, I know the way. I'm wondering, did we go to the lava dungeon and we have to open up the teleporter again?
I think so.
Okay.
Or maybe you can just return to the... I'm actually a little lost myself at this point.
I mean, this is what happens when you.
It's been exactly 1 year since we played it, and a lot of stuff has happened since then. My mind has erased everything.
The irony here, of course, is that I've been watching all the new Let's Plays that have been showing up.
Oh yeah.
All of the live streams and everything. If you've been playing Owlboy for the past like month or two, I've probably been lurking in there just to see what happens because I'm very curious. And yeah, there's a lot of. That's kind of why I was on that whole tangent about the game is a little punishing sometimes, is because I've been watching people play it now, and with modern sensibilities. Yes, that is. We were supposed to be going back to the floating continent. That's where we're at.
Yeah, but in that case, go left.
Well, let's see if we've grabbed every lever. Because I don't. Okay, there's that one. Was there one more?
No.
There was just 2.
Yep.
Okay. A lot easier than just the giant tower that was supposed to be here. I actually made that whole thing.
Yeah. It's I don't know if it's in this.
Oh no, it doesn't exist in the game anymore.
No.
All right, here we go.
Back to the dungeon. Boom.
Goodbye, Otis. Okay. Is the story going to continue? Are we going to find Dirk? Yes, we are. Okay, we're back on the story beat. We found it. You again. I don't know how you got past the defense system, but there's no way you're getting this relic before me. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Now, this part in particular, the intent was that you were supposed to notice that the relic is here, but you can't get it off. You can't like pull it off of this owl statue, and that makes you frustrated. So you're trying to find a way to do that. Of course, what ended up happening a lot of times was that people were just like angry that they couldn't get it and thought that there was something wrong with the game. But that's sort of like the penalty of letting people figure it out.
I mean, the relic kind of nudges when you try and pick it up. I guess that's my fault. So it kind of seems like you're supposed to be able to grab it, but yeah, you're supposed to unlock it first.
Yeah, if this was a modern video game, I think it would have a giant prompt at the bottom that says that you cannot get this yet. Move along. But,
or the giant hand that points. Go.
Yeah, but at this point when we made this, I think that was 13 years ago now.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of an antiquated form of design. This I was very happy with, the way we put this together. Oh my, I recognize this language. It's written by an ancient owl. Let me read it for you.
Is that Alphonse's official voice?
No, if I actually want to go into voice acting mode, I'd have to not have my voice screwed up. Clearing out this continent has taken a while, but we can finally begin our work. The work from the abandoned temple has paid off, and we have been able to make the local wildlife part of the theorem solver. We'll augment them and make them excavate with the automatons. I estimate that within a few decades of excavation, we can begin construction. So that's sort of like it's a little bit of a prelude of hints that some things are very wrong. So did you see that? Did you see how I absolutely saved his life? He is terrified, but he is alive.
Oh.
He's still alive. He hasn't been hurt.
Not a single one. There you go.
That's my technique. I'll throw him into him, and then I'll grab them as I come back.
It actually works on some enemies. You can use Getty to stun them, which is a pretty nice strategy, actually.
You can use his face as sort of like a cushioning block. It's a bit ironic that Getty was the only one that ended up having hit impact.
Yeah, because why was that?
It was because we didn't get around to adding it to the other characters.
No.
In fact, like Otis and Getty have idle animations, and so does Alphonse. But I never got around to adding one for Twig.
Are you sure?
Yep.
I seem to. Oh.
I did start working on it, but we never got around to actually adding it.
Huh.
So as a sort of it's kind of weird when they're all standing together and Twig doesn't move.
Yeah.
But it's really just an accident. It felt like too much to suggest that we do that one thing for a ton of scenes in the game.
Yeah, and at this point I'm afraid to patch the game. Because I have to go back in like files that are 7 years old at this point, so I don't want to risk it.
This is kind of what I mean. Like no, of course I haven't played this in an entire year, but since I'm trying to blast through it, I'm getting knocked around, and I really shouldn't be, considering I made this thing.
Yeah.
I think just small balances would be all it needs.
Oh.
Or, an easy mode or something of that sort.
Yeah. Good.
Was it in here? Yes, it was. Aha! Oh, look, someone that died.
The secrets. But who is it?
Who? What is their story? What could it mean?
Is that what the sequel is gonna be about?
The dead person and
Dead person too.
electric owl poo. Electric owl poo. That's probably one of the worst things I've said.
Yeah, you should
Stop. And not say anything like that either.
I didn't even know that owls did do that. Don't they have like?
Let's stop here. We'll stop here immediately. Anyway, lore.
There you go.
There's been some infighting. Appropriate. Some of the main architects have left the project. They have been banished from the continent, and work continues. The light cradle is operational, and we have all the power that we'll need. Construction of the hex machine itself has been delayed due to the immense complexity of the structure. I hope I will see construction begin in my lifetime. So, of course, you get entries that show the progressing timeline of everything that they were trying to accomplish here.
Can we explain a little bit about, because I remember that we had some ideas for this place, especially the jungle part, part number 1 of this giant dungeon. It was supposed to be like an animal conservatory, right?
Yeah, the entire idea was that the owls had made sort of think of it like a national park. They were trying to create the most ideal conditions for animals to live, and then of course because they were trying to solve the big problem that they were trying to solve, in desperation they ended up adding them into part of the structure in order to try to solve the immense problem that they were working on.
Yeah.
And of course, it's mentioned in a lot of the backstories as well that there were a lot of infighting because, of course, people had a lot of different ideas of the morality of different things and how they should solve everything.
You also had the different owl houses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever share those house symbols? I guess they're in the actual final secret place, right?
Yes. Of course, there's. This was something that was cut from the pre-recorded segment because I simply ran out of time, and of course. In case the footage looked a bit strange in this one, we genuinely lost our main footage, so we ended up with very grainy video, and for the parts, for half of the parts, we only got audio. That's why I had to resort to the choppy animation that I did, but. The fact that I managed to cut together an hour of that, I'm very happy about that. However, part of what got lost was a question about the different houses.
Oh yeah.
And yes, you can get an idea of what the different houses are from certain areas where you'll get like an overview. But there are some houses that are more elusive, and if you figure out what the different houses are, what their symbols are, what they put their symbols on, then you'll be able to put together a timeline of different characters, maybe unseen characters. So there's a lot of like hidden story in this game that people are just kind of briefly touching on. Okay. The X machine is beginning to take shape. I'm not sure anyone fully understands the design anymore, but initial tests have been successful. The light cradle is over capacity, and we are drawing power from the continent itself. We'll fire up the hex machine within a few years, when the relics are charged. I wish my father could be here to see this. This was a line that Henrik added, which I thought was really brilliant. It's sort of, oh, you sneaky boy. it was just small story touches like that that Henrik would always bring to the table whenever he would do dialogue.
Especially in the final, secret area. There's a lot of stuff that Henrik wrote that is excellent.
Yeah, there would always be very minor things. I'd say something like, well, we need something about what they were working on and how it did, so we could create some world building. And then he would just add this little extra touch, which made it just that much more personal.
Yeah. The room that you just visited, I think we called it the Blue Room or something to that effect, and we had a lot of ideas for that room. It was supposed to, drop even more hints about what the loop is.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more about what the hex machine is. I think Alphonse, you can activate the dialogue with Alphonse in that place, where he will explain a little bit, but keeping it quite vague still.
Yeah, and speaking of Alphonse, I mean, there were tons of minor scenes that we made for Alphonse specifically that we didn't end up using in the final version.
Oh, that's true.
Alphonse has a lot more detail to him than what you can play in the game, which is a shame, but such is life.
I think we've touched on it before, but he was supposed to be like a
very understated. It goes on like that for a while.
I think we touched on it, but he had like a background in like theatrics and stuff. And in the Advent music video that we're gonna post later on, you can actually see a theater that you mocked up.
Yeah, part of the idea for that. That's one of the few places where you'd meet stickbug people. And the idea was that you would come back to Advent regularly with new gunners, and you put on plays based on that, because then Alphonse got to live out his calling.
Yeah.
Of course, then we had to blow the city up.
Yeah. In the official artwork, especially on the Owlboy website, you can see Alphonse actually holding his golden skull that he uses for his artistry, I guess. Performances.
I mean, of course, it's a reference to Hamlet.
Yeah.
But that skull was the item that you would fetch for him, so you could unlock him in the original version.
Oh yeah.
But it is kind of weird that his official art carries it now, because it never shows up in the game.
No, not even once. We have an icon for it. You can still like find it in the game files, I guess. But yeah, it's an item that you never get.
How curious. These displays are showing some schematics along with a log. It says, the hex is complete, the world is destroyed. Looping. The world is destroyed! What does that mean?
I wonder.
The hex is complete, the world is destroyed. Looping. Well, the world is definitely still out there. I wonder what the owls were doing here. Sounds like the work of madness. Oh, I don't want to not. I don't want to stay in this place any longer. I have to. Let's just get the relic before Dirk knows and get out of here.
There you go.
And of course, here I was trying to drop subtle hints, but I wasn't very subtle about it. It literally says it's looping over and over.
Yeah.
Of course, that doesn't work unless you're an English speaker, so that was a bit of an oversight, but close enough.
Yeah. There's some destroyed monitors, and there's a number.
I love that this implied that it's the 5th version of this room.
Yeah.
So good to know that there are 5 more of these. Now this is a very interesting fight. Of course, Dirk ticks off this giant kaboon on purpose. When I made the kaboons, I wanted to create an sort of like an ape-like thing that had 6 limbs. Some of them are vestigial. You can see the leaders have fully formed back limbs. So when he does his thing here, you can see like proper arms.
Yeah, he actually grabs his throne with 4 arms.
Yeah. And of course, I remember I used this screenshot a lot because I mocked this up in its complete form, and I use it for scaling references now, because it's one of the few mock-ups that I did completely that uses the correct resolution.
But also, it's weird, but in this lava dungeon, we're using a color filter, the red one, so people have probably never seen the actual real colors of the kaboon in the background.
Oh yeah, he's very green.
Boom. I remember programming this fight, and it was an absolute nightmare. Because the kaboons can grab, they can climb walls or ceilings, and I tried to make it so they'll actually detect like collisions, but I ended up faking it. They can't actually climb. They're just stuck up there until you get below them. That's when their actual gravity activates.
There's a thing here that we implied, but a lot of people miss. When you win, you're sitting there thinking that, okay, so now I'm going to fight this guy as a boss, which would be really cool, but we wanted to use this as an introduction of the second guardian, the giant snake that you saw sitting behind the relic in the jungle section.
Yeah.
The only thing is that because we didn't have time, we wanted it to fly by in the background so that it wasn't so much of a surprise when you see it later.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are like, why is he scared? Without realizing that, oh yeah, there's a absolutely massive mechanical monster that's going to destroy everything.
Yeah. Boom. Oh, seems like the stream is lagging a little bit. Maybe we could pause the...
Oh yeah.
Here we go.
All right, we have paused things on our end just in case.
Yes, let us know if the lag continues. Boom.
I'll waste a little bit of time here just so everyone can catch up. This is something that I'm really glad we added and I wanted to do more of.
Oh, are we able to enable low resolution streams? Is it here? I don't know.
No, that would be within our streaming software.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. All right, we'll just have to continue as is because if I start messing with the settings now, then we are going to end up with a problem.
Yeah.
And then hopefully whatever is here we'll be able to salvage. There's always some technical issue, unfortunately.
Of course.
Okay. Now comes a part that I'm very proud of. Of course, there was a little bit of an oversight here because lava is supposed to come flowing through here. That's sort of the big reveal. Of course, the thing here is that, oh, you didn't get to grab the relic on your way out. But we really should have added something where you see Dirk grab it.
Yeah. I mean, we were kind of green when it came to like programming cutscenes and stuff. We didn't have the proper tools, and things took a long time to animate.
And to be fair, I mean, we created this engine custom.
Yeah.
All of this stuff was custom. We had no idea what we were doing. So, and we learned, but most people don't do all of this from scratch. All right, so
Spinning.
now I'm going to stop it right before the end here because these, the lava that comes through here, I spent so much time on it, but I'm so happy with how it looked. It's a shame that you kind of have to just rush through it. Like the fact that it worked as well as it did, I'm very pleased. But there were a lot of elements here where I'm actually going to eat while I'm here. There's a lot of elements in these areas that were like, we could have gone for the boring route, but we decided to do something like a little extra exciting every time.
Yeah, it took a long time. I mean, we were supposed to make it even longer, that sequence, because we wanted to use use the assets more, but we figured let's keep it short and sweet. You've already been through that the entire dungeon. I mean, we already kind of overstayed our welcome with that dungeon from before. It was so massive.
Yeah, keep in mind, and I'm mentioning this now because I'm about to do the boss fight. This was supposed to be the boss for the entirety of the jungle and the lava dungeon.
Yeah.
The computer fight when you first get into the lava section, that was supposed to be a mini boss.
Yeah.
So the dungeons were way too big.
Yeah, and we were supposed to this guy. You were supposed to ride him through the entire dungeon as well.
Yeah.
But we ended up making a separate part of the dungeon where you could fly him. But yeah, it was an incredible amount of work.
So that is why we call this the second Guardian. And of course, Guardians are things that are made by the owl specifically to protect the relics. But it's always so weird because when we talk about this dungeon, we call it Dungeon 2.
Yeah.
Even though it absolutely isn't at the
No.
end. Now it's like, what is Dungeon 4 or 5?
Yeah.
I think we're in over our heads. Yes, surprise boss fight. Let's look for an exit, Otis. Yes, that's an excellent idea.
I would have said if I had a voice.
Is the ground shaking? Let's get out of here before it's too late. This too was a completely new system that we created that allowed us to make spine models.
Yeah.
Custom coded.
Yep.
It was a nightmare to work with. Like, so cool that we could make that, but holy crap, it was impossible to make anything in it. And that's also why things are so spastic in this fight. It's because we had to compensate a lot just to make everything work.
And we also couldn't figure out what the size of the room was gonna be. So the camera gets kind of wonky in this boss fight.
Yeah. And also the if I remember correctly, the screen shake is determined by impact of the different segments. So that's why it shakes like freaking everywhere at all times. I'm fully aware that this fight is kind of egregious. I'm very proud that we managed to make it work at all because the systems that we had were like we made all of this with duct tape.
Yeah.
And it worked out. Like, if you knew what we were working with, this boss fight is an absolute miracle that we managed to get it to work.
Henrik figured out how to do like a worm-like movement for all the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So the way he moves isn't actually animated; it's calculated.
Yeah, it's like a spine, but the head drags the body. So you have to move in a way that will arrange all the pieces in a pleasing manner. It's not like you have control over every individual piece.
Boom! I forgot how hard it is, guys.
There's also an implication here that, I mean, the worm is blind because it's got lava on top of its head. So you never actually get to see what it would do if it could see. This thing would be absolutely terrifying if it was at an optimal condition. It's probably one of my favorite parts of the entire game.
Oh yeah, I remember this was another segment that we added because Jonathan's music was just incredible. We wanted to, this is the only segment where we time things up with the music.
And, I remember when Henrik was working on this part, we had just had the camera in one direction, and then he added the spin.
Yeah.
And I know that there's some people that are like, I can't see what I'm doing, but it's so much more like insane just to see it this way. It really feels like you're going through the most impressive thing you've ever done in your life.
Yeah.
And if you think about this in terms of the story, this is the one and only point when Otis succeeds completely.
Yeah.
This is something that Otis did. He did all of this himself, and it worked out.
Oh.
And I think it's kind of important because if you look at this in context, this is sort of Otis's high point as his own character, where he gets to prove that he can do things, and then immediately he gets to his lowest point.
Yeah.
Then again, that is part of the theme of the game, is that you don't get credit for what you do. That isn't like, this game is not about you being a hero and getting everything that you want because you're so cool and badass. This is a game about how the course of your life can be valuable and worth living because you have friends around you.
Yeah, and you know, it wasn't really about taking down that snake either. Or whatever we call it. We just call it the Dungeon 2 boss.
The second guardian.
Yeah. It was more about just surviving.
Hey, wait up! Oh, speaking of which, this is one of the most painful scenes in the whole game.
Yeah.
That was a close call, huh, guys?
Boom.
But we did it. We're a great team. Team? You helped the pirates attack Valley. You were still on their side during the attack on Advent. You tried to get us killed in the floating continent. Fair point. And you think you're on our team? I'm sorry. I didn't realize what the pirates were up to. I just wanted someone to hang out with, which is, I mean, that's sort of the catharsis of Twig's entire character.
Yeah, I mean, even back when we started working on Twig in Valley, he was supposed to be kind of the rascal. I don't remember if Twig actually lived.
Originally, and we talked some about this in content that we had to cut from the pre-recorded stuff.
Yeah.
But Geddy originally was not an important character.
No.
He was just someone that was there as an NPC. And then I added Spider Guy, quote unquote, who had put up a web with some rocks in it. And I said, well, how will you get through? So we came up with the idea of what if you can pick up things while you fly and then you throw it and then you could break the rocks.
Yeah.
But then we were like, how about you could do that with characters too? Geddy was close by. And then we started using Geddy as a main character.
Yeah.
But then it sort of continued this trend of Twig being the troublemaker, quote unquote. And Spider Guy, the name is also referenced when they're in the cave.
Yeah.
But then the longer we developed the character, we realized that Twig, his entire thing is pretty tragic because he just wants to hang out with people and wants to feel like he belongs somewhere. They feel like they belong somewhere, and hasn't really considered what they're putting people through.
Yeah.
So this line here, I feel, fits him very well. We don't want your company. We don't want anything to do with you. Isn't that right, guys? Guys. Alas. I'm hardly one to berate anyone for following pirates.
Yeah, that's right. That's kind of how we pitched it as well. I mean, Alphonse is also a pirate and is supposed to be evil, but isn't, you know.
Yeah. I cooperated with them in the attack on Valley together with Dirk, and I'm a pirate myself. Are you serious? That's not the same at all. Otis. Suit yourselves. But I don't have to put up with this. I'm going back to Valley. And this is what we were talking about in the pre-recording, is that Geddy can kind of just teleport out at his own whims.
Yeah.
It was a gameplay element, but I do think like they have to have a location that they can go to. Right? Is he gone? Oh man, I didn't mean to cause any trouble. I think I'll go home now.
That dejected look on his face. I tried to make Twig, because Twig didn't have a walking animation.
Oh yeah.
I think we added one, but we never used it in the game. So Twig just jumps everywhere.
Yeah, he has a run that he can use.
Oh, hi.
Hello. Do you think you could help me a bit over here? I can't get past this ice here. I noticed that I kept saying he, but the idea is to keep Twig kind of ambiguous.
Oh, that's true. The reason why is because we dubbed him Spider Guy.
Yeah.
at the very beginning.
We changed that actually pretty far, not late in development, but at the very least midpoint in development. And then we were like, well, they don't need a pronoun.
That's true.
But we keep saying he and all of that because of the name Spider Guy. It's still in the dev code, so it's very hard to sort of break that habit.
I mean, I still call I still call Dirk for Rasta Man sometimes.
Yeah. Well, that kind of shows our ignorance, because in that one it was at home sort of dreadlocks are just called Rasta hair.
Yeah.
And we realized later that we don't actually know if that has any connotations, so we changed it to Dirk because we felt that was a lot more appropriate. So you'll notice we'll use a lot of terms for things that are not correct. Like we still call the last Dungeon 3.
Yeah.
Some habits we just can't change, unfortunately. I think I can make my way home from here. Thanks for the ride, fellas!
Woohoo!
And this was kind of what we were talking about too during the pre-recorded segment, is that the continents themselves are floating, but the snow here drifts upward. I always thought this was a really neat detail that a lot of people didn't notice, because it's not about regular snow. We're so high up that things freeze anyway.
Yeah.
And because this comes from the landmass, the things don't have enough gravity or mass for them, so they just float out. Just thought it was really neat.
Yum 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 coins.
Oh, there's a little completion box here. I'm just gonna let him live. Live your life.
To the fullest.
Enjoy being. Let me just very quickly check that our camera's running.
Sure.
Yep, it's going well. Just need to make sure that our setup hasn't broken. That's kind of the problem whenever we're doing doing these kinds of streams, is that there's so much that we have to make sure that it runs properly. We lost the internet once, but other than that, it went pretty well.
That's another detail that we added. If you fly too far in mesos, far too
far up.
Yeah, too far up, then you'll see Otis getting tired as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's because the atmosphere is so thin that he can't actually fly.
Yeah, his cloak won't carry him.
And that'll get even more relevant later as you get to the very last dungeon.
Our inspection is over for today. Don't try anything stupid if you value your lives. We won't cause any trouble. Good. As long as you don't cause any trouble, the occupation will be over before you know it. I'll be back tomorrow.
Let's see. There's a question. Will Owlboy stay forever a single game, or are you planning to make a sequel? I think we answered that one pretty detailedly in the beginning of this stream. So we're gonna post this stream on YouTube, right?
At the very least, the pre-recorded segment.
Yes. So when we post it, go back and watch it, and you'll get your answer.
Yes. It's too cold here for my old bones. I feel like, oh man, I didn't think pirates was causing any trouble for my family. I better go check on them.
Check on that now.
Why are there pirates around here? We should investigate this area, but I do not like this, Otis. If we proceed, we need to be very, very careful.
There's a lot of pirates.
So this was another area that we actually wanted to have more happen. This was supposed to be sort of like a valley too. There was a second family here. This is where Bobbleman's family was going to live. And the idea was that this was supposed to open up more as things continued, but we couldn't find a use for this area that felt like it made any sense, so we just kind of made an area where the pirates enter in to harass them, and then it left at that.
You also have a couple of recognizable sprites. You have a couple of issues hanging around.
In fact, part of the idea here, this has been misaligned for years.
Oh!
Yeah. The idea here is this floor mat was supposed to be a little further down, and then when you stepped on it, in Advent, there's a little shop there where you can talk to a shopkeep, and you could buy bell shoes.
Yeah.
The idea was that Bomboman's family would only open the door if they heard the sound of music
Oh, yeah.
when it was outside. So when you had bell shoes and you walked on their mat here, they would open the door. Of course, Bomboman's family ended up in a much more tragic state, unfortunately.
Yeah. Hi, Paul. Hi, bro.
I can also tell that this is some of the later parts that we ended up getting because the characters are a lot more expressive here.
Yeah.
Ah, Twig, is that you over there? So it is. And you brought home a friend. Oh, we're still hanging out with the pirates' friends then. Twig hasn't brought a pirate into the house now. This is Otis. He is an owl from Valley. There's a lot of like really fun small details around the house that sort of showcase parts of Twig's personality.
Oh, yeah.
You can see he has a little hammock that he's made from pirate parts. I'll point this out when I can move around.
Yeah.
I wanted to check. Oh, right. So you're still pretending to be a spider, are you? You see, Otis from Valley, Twig has always been a weirdo. Again, his design is based on the leech spiders.
Yeah.
So he found something else that he thought was cool, so he just wanted to emulate it. Dressing up as a spider because it's cooler than being a stick bug.
It is kind of cooler. Oh, yeah.
Enough, Twig. Get out of that costume and let's talk. Ah, please. Not in front of my friend. Just do it, Twig. Hey. Even though this is a very awkward scene for Twig as a character, I did always enjoy that I got to sort of find an alternate design for
Yeah.
Twig. Because it was kind of... it's interesting to sort of see more aspects to the characters that you've known for so long. Like for us, this was like 7-8 years after the initial character was created.
Yeah, we luckily we never decided to add a zero suit Twig to the game. It'll just be like doubling up on all the animations.
Great. We just want to ask a few questions without you looking like an idiot. So, are you home to stay this time, or are you still in league with those insistent pirates? The pirates ditched me. They're just using me. And this guest here, is he a delinquent like you? Nice people. Otis is a good guy, bro. He just wants to find his way back home. Make yourself at home, Otis. I apologize for the rude welcome. You can never be too careful these days. Welcome to the Stick family's home. Okay, so small things that I can point out. I mean, on one hand, they would just hang around the fire with a little pillow there. Twig has created a little hammock for himself here with pirate material, and you can see test design drawings for his silk sack thing.
Yeah.
You can see it here as well, where he's crudely drawn himself wearing it. I'm seeing him again. See, that's what I'm saying. And of course their sort of emblem, and of course the cool spider. But you can also see that their parents care about them because there's a Christmas present hidden.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not a Christmas present, just, random present.
There's also a owl system, now a owl symbol on the...
I use this for a lot of the issues. Whenever they have something that's made for food, I would use that diamond shape.
Oh, yeah.
Which later became the symbol for the... now I don't remember which house it is. The same house that Asia's in. All right, here we go. Oh, Twig hasn't caused too much trouble for you. Twig has always been a special case. But I'm glad some good friends turned up. Maybe you can recommend that Twig stay in Measles and leave you alone? I can hear you. I wish Twig would just quit the spider act and stay at home like a normal stick bug. How did you end up with Twig anyway? Twig's always been a troublemaker. There's that reference again. Driving everyone nuts with worry.
Don't tell Twig I said that. Truth hurts the sensitive. Oh, you can't speak at all? Well, I guess that takes care of the problem. What are you whispering about over there? Hi. As you can see, they were right. I'm a stick bug just like them. So boring. Okay, time to leave. Hey, wait up. I just can't come up. Just let me get my trance back on. House of Teaching. Yeah, that might be correct. I think that's correct. Well, that was fun. I wonder if my family was happy to see me at all. Surely they must have been somewhat worried, especially when there seems to be pirates about. I doubt it. Every time I come home, they go on about how much of a freak I am. Would you mind if I hang out with you guys for a while? Well, until you find a way out of here. As it stands, Guddy has yet to return, and we could certainly use your unique abilities. What do you say, Otis? Yay! Really? You let me join? Oh, thank you! I'd help in any way I can. And then we get the frickin' awesome unlock.
I mean, yeah, Twig's story is also kind of reflecting our own story in a way as well. We spent so many years working on Owlboy, and we kind of lost the faith of our families at some point. Whenever we would talk about the game, sometimes they would go, why haven't you gotten a normal job yet? Mm-hmm. And it's just another thing where we got a little bit personal with the character itself.
I think the oh, do I have this already?
Oh!
Yes, I do.
Whoa!
Maybe I shouldn't show this.
Why not?
You guys are okay with spoilers, right? So this is a key that you get if you put in a very specific combination in Bumbleman's house on the drums. Not a lot of people see this part. And this is actually Bumbleman's brother. Unfortunately, they didn't make it.
Oh, there's a secret to it. What's the secret? I can't remember actually. Can you put Getty on top of there? No. I think you're supposed to dig it out or something.
Oh
can
yeah, you need
Getty
for this, don't you?
I think so.
Yeah. For another time.
Yeah.
This is a good moment to bring up something that I whoa, holy crap. Excuse me, I lost the stream there for a second. I wanted to bring up something that I've seen a lot of people that play this point out, and it's something that is kind of odd to me now, especially if you like to read stories or read books. But I've seen so many people see either, let's say, Twig, or some other characters later along the line that have made very clear mistakes.
Yeah.
And have done acts that are, objectively kind of evil in a lot of ways. And then they go, well, they shouldn't be forgiven because they made a mistake and thus they are horrible people. But that's kind of the point, is that we wanted to show people that were flawed and could make mistakes. And then you can of course choose to pursue them, or maybe try to solve the problem instead.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like a lot of storytelling that I've seen recently kind of skips that whole point, where they don't allow characters that you're supposed to find sympathetic make mistakes, because then people will just say, well, that just means that they're evil.
Yeah.
But it's that's the entire point. They have to be able to make mistakes. They have to be able to do the bad thing so that you will feel like they are doing bad things. And then then you can understand why everyone would be mad at them.
Yeah. And there's also this thing where everything, especially in Hollywood movies, can get rectified somehow. I remember seeing, the Avengers movies, and they literally go back in time to like fix their mistake, which is kind of the most boring thing that you can do. Once you've made a mistake, you kind of have to learn to live with it. Is what people should be taught,
Well, that's also the thing. Like, there's nuance to people making mistakes about things, and unless you show those things and then say those things were bad, then there's no weight to what you're saying. Like, Agio is too harsh on Otis, and he should mend his ways, and a lot of people really hate Agio. But if he didn't do all those things, then why would you have the tension?
Yeah. And I think I've said this before on our anniversary. Aisho is actually one of my favorite characters, just because I know what Aisho is actually all about. Yes, he's harsh, but he also wants to prepare Otis for a harsh world.
And it's he does it wrong, and that's the entire point.
Yeah.
And then that's also why we added that scene at the end where you can choose to go and speak to Aisho at the end.
Yeah.
You have the option to forgive or not to forgive, and that's a clear metaphor for how to interact with media as well.
Yeah.
You don't have to forgive every character, but you have to actually show that they make the mistakes that they did.
Yeah.
Twig, this guy, this person right here, I did it again. This person right here is technically responsible for what happened in Advent.
Yeah.
Unknowingly, but was responsible. And yet, these people are nice enough that they are trying to look past that in order to solve things.
I mean, they realize that Twig is made a mistake, right?
Yes. The pirates. They've made their base here in Messos.
Unfathomable.
Yes, we know that, Twig. It's worrisome, but we just have to accept it. But we have to evacuate. No, Twig. This is our home. We don't just evacuate because there's some parts to buy. Absolute lad. Please don't understand. No! We cannot let fear dictate our actions. Seems I have to make you understand. Let me show you how... show you up close how an adult stares death in the eye.
Here he comes. Sturdy.
On his way. Gonna do it. Determined. Undeterred. Powerful. Nearsighted.
Oh.
There you are, Twig. Have you seen a pirate? Pirate! Alright, what's that? Speak up, son. Big pirate! I really love this system of just random expletives.
Oh, I had to create an entire speech system just for that thing to work. But yes, I wanted to create even more like like quips for him to say, but I couldn't come up with more.
Are you the pirate leader?
Yes! Yes! Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I come bearing news of our operation here in Messos. We are planning to build a sprawling citadel right here. Messos will be the epicenter of our new rule, rich in wealth and all manner of luxury. And we need Twig for Cooking?
Cooking.
Yeah.
There's
There's no need to play games. If you want to leave with these friends of yours, you are free to do so. You may not like it, but we will support you. But don't forget this is your home. And we will be here when you return. Is there anything we can help you with, Twig? We need to get to the pirate base. I love how he just kind of drops that.
Yeah. But yeah, Rosie Hyena has a good point. Alphonse, this is the one point where we actually got to use Alphonse's kind of theatrical skills or attribute, and he kind of sucks at it.
Yeah.
Like improvising is not his strong suit.
I mean, the theatrics was something that he picked up much later, so he hasn't really refined it yet.
But I do imagine like Alphonse's voice actually changing when he goes into character.
I am the pirate leader. There's a passage in Beyond the Waterfall in Tropos that might take you there. You might not remember, but we sometimes use it as kids. We can take you to Strato if you like. Thanks, bro. Sorry for trying to trick you guys. Don't worry, it would take more than that to prank your old fool of a pa. That's not what he said, but fair enough. Now be on your way. You have something important to do, don't you? You want to go to Tropos straight away?
Yeah.
Yes!
One of the few times we get to use the yes/no system.
That was actually one of the first things we implemented.
Yeah,
I
he
think
was supposed to have 3 expressions actually.
And this is where we get to show that
Oh,
Dirk
exposition.
actually got it.
Boom. And I also like the fact that we initially started out Twig's family as complete assholes.
Yeah.
But we wanted to write them so that they kind of rectify themselves in the end. Even though it's just a couple of scenes, you still, with the facial expressions and stuff, you kind of just think that they're assholes at the very beginning.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about earlier, is that, yeah, they don't treat Twig nicely all the time, and they certainly have their quirks, but they're not horrible in every aspect.
No.
And there's nuance to them.
Yeah, they're an actual family, you know. There's always gonna be that one sister or brother or what have you, that's kind of snarky and but in the end is a family member, and they probably have the best intentions, you know.
Yeah, even if misguided.
Yeah.
This also, I remember because we'd done a lot of playtesting up until this point, and this was where people were saying that I can't find my way to the pirate area. So, like, maybe 6 or 7 times in these cutscenes, we say, it's behind the waterfall in Tropos.
Yeah.
And people still forgot. But here we literally say it again, like, remember, it's behind the waterfall.
Remember it. Yeah, do people have a hard time finding it?
Yes.
Damn.
But, of course, the whole thing is a lot of people want a map, but we couldn't. We didn't have the time to implement it properly.
No.
Did you by chance notice any tremors on the way? Oh yeah, that was us. That was his friend Mopa, this giant snake monster. They had to come and save him. What? Did anyone get hurt? Are you okay? Don't worry, bro. We're pretty tough. Just trying not to get into trouble, okay? You know, Pa and I. Well, there's the nuance. It doesn't matter. Just be careful out there, will you? Come home from time to time.
Oh yeah, pensive. That's a word I learned from Henrik. I think we had an emote or for Roland that had like the pensive face, and I never knew what it was. But I learned. Eventually, I learned. All right, let's have some fun. Well, is this a good point to wrap up, Ashley?
How about we make it as confusing as it was last time?
Yeah,
And,
by going to Tropos and standing right in the center.
Yeah. This is I was actually watching someone play recently, and they were saying something to the effect of, the twig is so useless because you can't do anything with them because they just wrap up enemies.
Okay.
And then you have this entire area that was literally meant to show how much of a powerhouse Twig is.
Yeah,
Where you
because the enemies get immediately like wrapped up, and he's faster than Geddy and Alphonse.
Like every single enemy here can be killed, insta-killed with Twig.
Yeah.
And
There's some enemies that can like unwrap themselves, but very few can. So he's the ultimate gunner actually.
I remember one person I was watching really hated these.
Oh.
That's fair. They're kind of difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
But that was the entire reason we reintroduced them here, because you can just
boom, 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 be gone.
It's so satisfying. Like, I'm just like, yeah, look at you now. Can't take care of me now. I felt like we got a lot better as game designers up until this point.
Yeah.
Because it was like, if you've paid attention to the mechanics that we've taught you, this becomes a lot more satisfying.
And also, Twig was a pretty versatile character. You could use Twig to set up traps. You could web one point and then web it at another point, and it would actually create a wall where whenever an enemy would go in it, they would get trapped in it.
This is you can literally like build like a big Spider-Man kind of web fort.
Yeah.
It got so taxing for the computer that.
Yeah, we had to like scrap it, and we made it into a fast travel grapple hook instead.
Oh, it's one of our favorite bogwins.
Oh, here he is.
Please, anyone.
Oh, that's not right. It wouldn't be marked.
Please, anyone. No. You totally saved me.
Hello, Blog.
Thanks, buds. I thought those beasts were gonna stop me and kick me and chew my eyeballs. But they didn't. Thanks, you guy.
I was just making my merry way over to Buccaneers. And this is your dialogue.
Yeah.
This is absolutely your dialogue.
I mean, you can tell the difference between Henrik's writing and mine.
Yeah, because Henrik will write something like, we care about you as a family. And then you will write, those monsters jumped out and said, hey, we're gonna cut you. And I was like, ah!
But then you guys came along. Yep.
Say,
I'm gonna rejoin my brothers outside of Buccaneers. Come visit, why don't you? I'll see you there.
Bye.
That was a very weird fellow.
And we make Twig say that.
Yeah.
Which says something.
I love that Bogwin specifically. They're a complete menace to society, and I appreciate them for it. The whole, hey, I'll cut you. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. They're flying plant blobs. Like, they don't have knives.
Yeah. I'm happy with that. You guys let me keep that dialogue.
Yeah.
Whenever I wrote for the Bogwins, I just went a little weird with it, but it stuck somehow.
And here's like the 6th time we say, hey, I wonder where that place is.
Waterfall.
We can get down to Tropos from here.
If we ever patch the game, we should have like a sign that says "Secret Pirate Hideout."
Yeah.
This way.
It'll just be Twig repeatedly going something like, it's down this way. Got a mission profile. Let's find the pirate base. We should look down there. We'll find it in no time.
And
And-
here they go.
And still, like, people kept missing this. Like, it's fair. If everyone misses a part, then of course that might be a failure on game design.
Sure.
But-
I mean, yeah, we were supposed to have a map. We just never finished it. So we were kind of like, and how do we signal stuff? I mean, we hid. The reason why we did it is because we hid places where Trig could actually grab. And we wanted people to remember that, okay, this is where I should go back to, because now I can actually grab stuff with Twig. But I guess it was kind of too subtle.
Yeah, and also, like, whenever you came back to sort of the main hub exploration area, we purposely wanted to make it a bit vague so that you would go and look at stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we wanted you to go back to Valley and maybe talk to some people that you hadn't spoken to. We wanted you to go to Buccaneery's shop and pick up some trinkets. How about we finish off this stream by going to Buccaneery's?
Sure. Do we have enough
Let's
coins?
Let's just see here what are we at? We don't. Maybe we do. Let's find out. Because there's a bunch hidden in that tunnel that we were in.
Oh yeah.
Welcome. Let's tally out that booty. You collected.
Oh, I
Buccaneery
think you're
coins.
just short.
Oh no,
Oh!
we got it.
Boom.
Hell yes.
I think I'm the one who actually animated his face at that point because you didn't have time or something, and I
Yeah.
just like covered it in black.
Some suit. Handle with care. Yeah, upgrade.
Huh? Where'd Buccaneery go? Probably taking a nap. Oh well. See you, Mr. Owl.
Yeah, because that's the final. That's the final one before you get to the owl cloak. No, the spectre cloak. That's true.
And so now you have even
Big-
more power.
Big flame.
Okay, well, that I think will be where we conclude today's stream. Let me return to title screen.
Yeah. Can we remember now where to go to next?
Of course, we will remember. All right, I'm going to turn that off and then shut off the game. Okay. Since we don't have the big camera, this will have to do. Thank you all so much for joining us for this anniversary. We didn't get to show absolutely everything that we wanted to, but I'm so happy that we managed to, at the very least, show the Owlboy DLC for Savant Ascent Remix, because we've been testing it internally and it's so damn fun.
Yes.
And it's also the sprites that we're using for it. I literally redrew every single frame of Otis, his flying animation, in an upscale. It's sort of like the highest resolution Otis that I've ever seen. It's weird because it's sort of the original sprite of Otis doesn't look like his official illustration.
No.
And now, yeah, he finally does. He's a real boy.
Yeah, we posted some screenshots on our Twitter, so check them out in higher detail. And we're going to keep working on it this next month. Yeah, it's due to release in a month, so
Fingers crossed, everything works out.
yeah, we're still working on Savant Ascent Remix. We also had a competition a couple of weeks back where people could help us design some enemy waves as well. And so many insanely great ideas entered the competition that I'm gonna try to actually implement several of them. So I will be announcing several winners for that competition. And we're just gonna keep on working on it.
All right.
Yeah.
That will be it for this year. Now, I feel like I say this every year, but there is of course, the chance that we might be able to do another live stream this year sometime later. But for now, that'll be all our announcements and festivities for now. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting us for 7 years straight. And thank you for maybe supporting us in the future as well.
Yeah.
For now, we'll see you around.
See you around.
Bye.
Bye.